a mutual Elvis love, so it's great to see Memphis right there and thinking of her. All right, let's take you to Nashville too. Same idea, where we've got a chance for some showers as we get from Saturday into Sunday. Notice the temperatures, okay? Into the 40s the entire time. So when you're talking about, at this point, would you rather, you know, have the rain or the snow when you're that chilly? You would much rather have, I'm thinking, the pretty scene setter, because 40 and rain is not feeling that great. And Brianna, my clicker is not working. If you wouldn't mind hopping on and advancing me here. There we go. All right, so we have a divide here where we have the cold to the north, relatively mild to the south, but this mid-level disturbance that's drawing up some of that moisture. So we get from Friday and into the weekend, that's the player right there. And so as it moves off to the east, we're going to see an increase in clouds, the chances for some rain showers, but right where we have that borderline where it's cold and just cold enough, you're going to see some wintry precipitation. Let's start Friday night because it's all green on the map here from central Texas to the Gulf Coast. That moves off to the east here, and by Saturday now it's rain off towards Little Rock, towards Springfield, scattered showers. You notice on Saturday, not a complete washout everywhere. And then things get really interesting Saturday night because on the north side it is cold enough for the snow, and you have that dreaded transition zone. So we'll keep an eye on places like Louisville and Cincinnati. And then by Sunday, again, the big game, we've got showers from the 75 corridor, and then that mess, I-81, the PA Turnpike, New York State Thruway. It's going to be a bit of a mess. So let's keep an eye on all these things that are taking shape, not only from the weekend, but the week ahead. Dr. Greg Postel, the West. Isn't it amazing? And look what I've got to show you on the water vapor imagery. You want to talk about beast mode of a storm. Look at that swirl. I mean, it is swirling here and throwing moisture that way. It's, once again, the active spot on the map for sure. Very strong upper level disturbance. We've got strong upper level winds. I mean, everything you have going for it is coming together here, along with all of that moisture, and that's flowing right into the west. Obviously, temperature has a lot to do with how this will play out depending on where you are, but cold and snowy interior, that makes sense. We're seeing warm and rainy along the coast, that too. So we're going to continue to add to some impressive rainfall, winter totals here, places like San Francisco and Sacramento, Eugene. But see the snow by tonight. It's all into eastern Oregon, into Idaho, and also through the Rocky Mountains. By tomorrow, you see a little bit of the rain and the snow here, but that dividing line, the Cascades. So a couple things going into what may be happening, places like Oregon, where you have that shallow layer of cold air. You get some moisture in there, and it's just cold enough. We're concerned about some of that ice. But this is the big picture as we get into Friday. Still a mess here where we have snow from the Bitterroots, Spokane picking up on some of that snow, and that coastal rain continues. Look at these snowfall totals in that sort of pinkish white, 18 to 24 inches of snowfall. This is through Saturday. So you have the Bitterroots, you have the Tetons, you have the Sierra Nevada mountains. South Lake Tahoe, again, talking about a windfall snowfall here over the next few days. But obviously high impact weather along with the rain and the snow. There's that in between of the ice. So we're concerned about you in parts of the Portland area, for example, Salem, down to and up to Olympia, where you're seeing the pinker shade. That's a higher likelihood of some consequential ice accumulations, meaning above a tenth of an inch. That's where you start to see the roads highly impacted, as well as the power lines. Keeping an eye on you, Portland, through tonight, and definitely as we get through the overnight and tomorrow morning. Weekend storm here. Saturday into Sunday for St. Louis, you have showers and temperatures into the 30s. I can't think of anything more miserable, right? But notice by the end of that, you may be seeing some of that mix in with some of the flakes. So here's the setup. We have a mid-level disturbance that's dipping down. That's providing the energy to help bring about some of that moisture. But we don't have the cold, the deep, deep cold really diving way to the south. So we have that very thin transition zone, and most of us are going to see that cold rain. So as we get in through Friday into Sunday, where you're seeing some of that lighter to moderate snowfall, basically use the Ohio River as that dividing line. North of there, Cincinnati, Youngstown, Pittsburgh, you're on the snowy side off to the south. It is rain. Louisville, Lexington, over into Nashville. It all starts here on Friday night through Texas. And you can see Dallas and Houston. It is not going to be a washout situation here, but maybe enough if you're traveling into town where it may be enough to delay some of the flights. By Saturday, again, scattered showers. Not seeing any evidence of that cold air and that wintry side of it just yet. yet, but there you go. By Saturday night, you see that mix of freezing rain and sleet. North of there, it's the snow. To the south, some of that colder rain, including in Nashville, down towards Tupelo. And then by Sunday, that snowier side moving into the New England area with rain on the south side. That means Atlanta and their Falcons fans, any of those big Super Bowl parties, might be some wet roadways there for you. Looking at the rainfall total, again, it's not going to be a complete washout where flooding is a concern, but you're going to see some of those lighter rainfall totals. And again, just enough to create some problems out on the roadways potentially. All right, let's check in on Houston. We were keeping an eye on the forecast for maybe some rainfall being a concern, but mainly just cloudy skies and temperatures that will be into the 70s. Again, that is in Houston for kickoff at 5:30. All right, we already have our eyes set on that next storm, and it can happen that quickly. So we want to give you the best heads up where we're seeing some trouble spots right now, and you can see the snow is going to be the concern. And I-80, always a tricky drive anyway. That could see some of those snow bursts, and if you're on your way to Puxatawny, you know, a lot of those back roads are going to see some snow cover. We also have a ground stop at LAX. We have some low clouds, temps into the 40s, and also in San Diego. So any westbound traffic into those airports, Mark, could be a little bit slow, right? It seems we're in a fight to protect our shores from the impacts of rising water. Adding to the concern, extreme weather events seem to be on the increase, from record rain and flooding to hurricanes and at times tornadoes, although there's not as clear-cut a story with climate change and tornadic activity. When Mother Nature lashes out, the best way to fight back may be with Mother Nature, and meteorologist Mike Bettis. That got us thinking, what would that look like for some of our most important military bases? Yeah, including in the Norfolk area, where if you believe the new NOAA study showing you the big magnitude rise, the newest study saying up to 8-foot storm surge, increased water rise because of the melting ice around the world. We can show you what 3 feet will look like. All these areas in blue that are showing up, these are areas that are going underwater because of this water rise. And the shades of green are where it's a little bit more sporadic, but you can see at the point of 8 feet, there's a lot of land gobbled up, and you see where that's a lot of people living right there. And it is the entirety of the naval shipyard as well. And so that is a major, major impact. The wider view shows you that it's not just Norfolk. This whole area has so many tributaries and little streams, and the water is such a huge part of the life there. But yet, when you get to 5 to 8 foot water rise, it's a whole different picture on the map. Right, and then obviously 8 feet on the higher end of all of that. This is Norfolk behind us. With 8 foot of water rise, so much of the... Dr. Greg Postel and I are going to sort of tackle, because there are so many people who are wondering, where's the snow? Where's winter? We're running out of time. They're definitely running out of time. Yeah. And a lot of places haven't seen a lot of winter. It's been warmer than average pretty much everywhere in the country. Even in the Northeast, where they haven't seen a whole lot of snow. Some, but not a lot. This is how much snow these locations have seen so far this winter. And this is the deficit. Actually, these are all negative. I hate to tell you that, but those are all negative, right? So it's down. They're down 7 to 8 inches. New York City kind of close to average, but not a whole lot of snow. Right. And we look downstream, down the pipeline here, and what we're sort of getting, Paul said it this weekend, death by 1,000 cuts, right? There's not anything that's just kind of plowing through. It's like a little bit here and there, no blockbuster storms. Right. Certainly none right now, and I don't think there's any coming down the pike. Certainly as far as the forecast I can see, it looks relatively benign, the pattern for the next week or so. This is how much we've got today and tomorrow. Those cities that we mentioned really not being helped out much. We're not going to add to their total significantly. So the snow, I would say drought, not really a drought, but the snow, the lack of it continues. I'll say that. So we have to look to the west. Where's maybe the next storm coming? Could it bring more snow? And you can't miss it. I mean, there it is. Pow. This thing's a beast. At least it looks that way on water vapor, that's for sure. Now, I'm going to take me back to a kid. I would say, I want to plant this guy over the Pacific Ocean, over to New England, and just get hammered with a blizzard. Let's do it. But you know what? Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Sorry. It's a great-looking storm, but as it moves inland over the next few days, it dampens out. The large-scale flow around it doesn't really allow it to flourish. We end up with a relatively weak little system moving through the Central Plains and maybe eventually the Northeast, but only giving a little bit of
of snow, probably not enough to make any significant dent in the snow deficits.
All right, but you're talking timing, and it's Saturday night. We see it pick up certainly through the day on Sunday. So a lot of people out on the roadways. Of course, the big game on Sunday. You may be going to that party. You've got some impactful travel conditions.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that without blockbuster storms, you can still have travel impacts, and those little storms can sometimes be pretty gnarly when it comes to travel.
All right, so keep that in mind when you make the run for the dip ingredients.
Right.